It is flat, guys. Hey, Lisa.
I believe that the government...
You're right. Lisa, do you know that we are not big house?
You're
Big.
staying in an apartment that's really big.
If you don't ask the government's lying to us, I would have said, no, okay, what's covered? Okay, I was about 5 years in after just doing a little bit of research. My problem is I see too far. Go back to that.
Yeah.
I see too far.
That's fair enough, but obviously there's questions that can't be answered though, isn't there?
High five.
And that's the thing.
Well, you gotta. If you skip over the water level thing, if you skip over that and start picking at the bits that we can't necessarily answer too easily, then you're kind of inflating a straw man because you don't want to really mathematically measure, go out and check and test. Can water curve over its surface in any way that will ever make it look like a pool? And no, other than a water droplet, we can't do that. The water must settle level. It's just the law of nature. All gases settle in their own density, their own level. Strata, we go down in the oceans, we've got levels of pressure as we go down. Everything settles at its own level. The oil on the water, you know that. And so if we take gases or anything, we put them in a tube, we find it's all level.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but like I said, it's too
How it works is a question you can only start to explore once you've got
this
through
is
the
what
basics.
makes me laugh is obviously when you ask questions, that's the answer that I mainly get is I don't know why we don't know.
I got theories.
And it's like,
But like when I believed in outer space, those were all theories, and I had ideas and conjecture, and this is what I think it is, and this is how I think stars and neutron stars and all these things operate. But of course, I've never had any experience of that myself. So I accept that outer space and the expansion into nothingness of space, the vacuum of space, as they say it is. That's all conjecture, and you and I can't test that. So we all say we theorize if this, then that. So what we're doing is we're theorizing, but in the flat earth, what we have to say is, so we're seeing certain things and we want to say that it might be something other than the theory of 93 million miles away sun spinning around in this really fast orbit, whizzing around, turning around once a day at 1,000 miles an hour and not measuring it. That if the sun was my daytime today, then and I'm facing you, that's my daytime, right? And so my back is effectively having nighttime and it's seeing the nighttime stars, yeah? But in 6 months' time, if you were the sun and my back was facing behind you, your back in other words, that was where my view of the nighttime sky was, then I should never see the same stars at all in 6 months' time that I see now, because I'm looking at a completely different picture in the back of town than the back behind me.
that's if it doesn't move though, isn't it?
But now, in order for
because obviously, like for that, they've explained that by like sort of having solar systems and galaxies and stuff that are perpetually moving.
Yeah, but we accepted that when we weren't really critically thinking, because we accepted so much stuff by then. So if that were true, right, and things were now further away in the town, let's say your mate is standing 10 miles and another mate is standing 20 miles and another mate is standing 30 miles, you want them all to travel at exactly the correct speed, each of them having to go much faster because they're further away in order to be where my back is in 6 months' time. So they have to honor my centrality, and they have to follow me, which is incredible to imagine that they would, at distances, all having their own orbit, all having their own pressures and movements and so on, would all uniformly stay in exactly the same rigid position, Orion's belt or something like that, stay in that same position and still be visible in 6 months' time. For them to have done that, in reality, makes absolutely no sense.
What do you mean for them to have done that?
Well, those stars, for the Orion's belt, the 3 stars of Orion's belt, to have whizzed around whatever distance, we have to imagine what distance they are because we don't know. We can say, oh, it's a billion, 5 light years, it's this, it's that, or whatever. But each of them is slightly different from each other.
What you're saying is that it's too uncanny, is what you're saying.
It's not unlikely, it's far more likely. Yeah, this model, what we say is that there's a roof that moves, and in the roof are these starlights. And how they work, that's another conversation, and also conjecture and some theories. But it's a fixed roof, like it's a disco ball kind of thing, just rotating in its own way. It has more than one movement to it, so it's not just a turning, it's also on an elliptical thing. So some of the movements that all the scientists measure are there, but the movements are happening to the disc of the roof rather than to the floor that we're standing on. And that's what we're saying. The roof is moving and not the floor. And the ancients for thousands of years have been recording the same star patterns that we see today. Some some people say, oh, we don't see the southern star, we don't see this, but really the constellations, all the same.
Go on, explain that. Like, so basically, what he's saying is that the roof is moving, but not this.
Yes, right. That's right. And if I was to say that this was an orange and I just sliced it through the equator, so I've got two parts of the orange now, right? This is looking down onto the orange, for example, and where the seeds are for the orange is where our continents are, and this is the skin of the orange. And around the top of the orange is our roof. Underneath our orange is all the heavy stuff, because in our world heavy stuff settles and light stuff rises. So our light gases have risen above the water level. The water level has given us a table. That's a flat swimming pool, for example.
So is it a self-contained?
It's a self-contained unit. In nature, I say to people, like in nature, there's not a single fruit you can find that grows its fruit on the outside of the skin.
So this is was my question to the other guy.
Yeah.
Because I've seen maps, okay, where there's other land, there's islands.
Yes.
Around here.
So I suggest to people.
So if we're in a self-contained one,
yes.
What's beyond that then?
So I would say in that context, it's possible that we're a grape on a bunch of grapes.
Okay.
I'm only giving you what I see in nature. In nature always contains in a skin, a bark, a peel, an egg. They always say that. Hello, mate.
Hiya. Do you know what? You've asked a really good question there, So what are you saying?
We're saying
I'm just passing by.
You're passing by. So what are you saying? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, we're saying that this gravity is actually really to do with buoyancy and density. That everything floats or sinks depending on its own density in the medium that it's in, water, gas, whatever.
Yeah.
So whenever I drop a ball, it's only falling because I picked it up in the first instance.
Isn't it something that both things fall at the same time?
Things won't fall at the same time unless they're similar.
I thought like a lighter thing and a heavier thing fall at the same time, no?
So if I took let's say I took a feather that weighed 2 grams, and I took a coin or a stone that weighed 2 grams, we know that because of wind resistance things aren't going to fall at the same rate. The same is true in water.
Let's take a penny that weighs like just under 2 grams and a brick. Do they not fall at the same time?
Possibly not. But
I thought there was something that.
Well, it's about wind resistance. I mean, that doesn't prove gravity, because something will fall at the same speed as something else. Isn't a proof of gravity. Because what we're saying is, whatever we could debate about what is the electrostatic or the force that is holding us to the floor and so on. We could debate about that. But what we observe in our world is we lift something up, it falls back down. Or we throw something, it'll go as far as we've thrown it and then drop to the floor. That's how all material works. The helium balloon doesn't follow that law of gravity. It just floats up all of its own accord, right, into its own medium density. There it'll settle. So what we're saying is that is showing you buoyancy and density in action, but it's not going to then allow for this other curious thing where water can attach itself under a ball, and human beings can walk under that ball and none of their senses tell them that they've changed their perpendicular to, say, 90 degrees from what it was. I recently flew from South Africa, and it's an 11-hour flight, about a quarter of the way around the globe. And that quarter of the way around the globe is a 90-degree change in my attitude or my perpendicular from South Africa to England, say. But no spirit level, no gyroscope, and nothing in my body will tell me that I've done anything other than stay flat and level for 11 hours.
Right.
So
just one question.
Yeah.
Magellan and all the other people that have allegedly circumnavigate the globe. So what do they do then? Go out to the edge and sneak all the way round and come back in the other side?
Okay. Well,
because if so, most of them would have died due to lack of supplies if they hadn't gone like this, and round. If they'd gone like that and then come all the way round the outside to come in that way, either way, they would have died due to lack of supply, especially the people that are doing it really early on.
Okay.
So all these people have lied or been confused about what they did.
Yeah, I'll show you how it works. Let's just say we were in your city now, and we put a magnet
That's what's
right
showing
now.
me. You're telling me that's something different.
No, I'm going to give you an example of how you can circumnavigate a town. You see, you can put a magnet here and say this is the center, this is the north, and my compass will point to that, and then I could go 1 mile out of town and just go east or west around the town. That we can do all the time, and in this map, that's what we do. When we sail, we go around South America, we'll come to Africa. They'll go to Africa, they'll go to South Africa, they can go to Australia, there's no problem. Australia can get to China, they can get to California, no problem with this map at all.
Mate, in
This is the
2020,
United Nations logo.
I told everybody it was going
This
to be
map here is and all maps were based on something akin to that up until the last few hundred years. So all sailing in the early days was done on this idea that we're going across the level water. Now, Captain Cook, he goes 60,000 miles around Antarctica. Now this could be describing this long journey around here, 60,000, because that kind of fits with
Still
that
no
model.
Northwest Passage.
And then we've never been under the South Pole. We've never been under the South Pole. At 180 degrees, come out the other side. Never. No plane, no walking, no nothing. Not one flight. Not one flight. So if we did have a globe, we would often fly from South America. We would fly underneath the globe to get to Australia or something like that. But you know what? It's an 11-hour flight from Johannesburg to London, Heathrow. And it's a 15-hour flight to South America. But you take a string with your globe and try and measure those. You go, well, it's shorter to South America from Johannesburg than it is to London. How is it a 4-hour longer flight? And they're using the same place. The maps are not right, brother. There's not one agreed map of the world or globe that is a perfect depiction.
That airplane thing, just come to me.
I've seen it before.
So,
But it would make
yeah,
sense that they
I never thought about that.
You know the gyroscope is a mechanical device. They used them in World War II.
Yeah, I know.
And long before there was computers, right? So you spin that thing up at your ground, at your level, and the pilot knows the moment he goes off level, you'll know that, right? So why after 90 degrees of flying isn't it showing him that he's gone 90 degrees off? You never know.
Otherwise he'd go.
Some people say it's like the gravity is pulling the plane to hold it at 30,000 feet. I say that's nonsense because it is forcing itself to stay from falling by keeping its nose up 1 degree, 1.5 degree, and it flies like this all cruise.
Yeah.
Same with a ship. You imagine a ship captain going, yeah, I'm about to go downhill now. Not only that, if I've gone downhill from your coast to France or somewhere, America, wherever, am I coming back uphill on the way back up? Because what goes down must come back
There's
up.
some really strange questions being asked here, bro, whether you like it or not.
I think
Quite a lot of them I've asked myself, bro.
Yeah, well,
You have no idea what I like or not, mate.
I'm
Don't
sorry.
be telling me.
No,
we
I'm
have-
sorry.
we have-
I hate people trying to tell me what I think.
Take this if you like. It's
Bad
a flight.
politicians
I'm
offering
sorry.
to talk on
I'm
my
sorry.
behalf.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you know
I
what?
didn't mean it
You want to
like
be
that.
your own master, right? You want to be your own
I've got my
master.
own onboard
Yeah.
computer,
Yeah.
and I've got
Exactly.
my
I didn't mean
own.
it like
I've got my
that.
own box, and I don't need anyone else operating theirs on my
I
behalf.
didn't
But-
mean it like that. That's
But
the wrong
no,
thing to say.
one of the
Figure of
important
speech.
things to know is that because we have a computer, that computer is programmable. When
Yeah,
I grew
oh, yeah.
up in South Africa, they programmed us about racism, right? In the apartheid times, you know. I grew up in the 70s there.
You can program anyone about anything.
Anything, right? Yeah, I came here. They
I
don't
listened
like
to a
the
really
Irish.
good program about false news this morning about what the Russians were doing,
Yeah.
and they said that research that was done in Australia, they found that just in a near attempt to undo false information actually reinforces it. Once information is in the brain,
Yeah.
it is virtually impossible to get it out.
Yeah.
Whether it's true or false, that will still be in there.
Yeah.
So whatever you've been told, especially if it's
Yeah.
stuff you've been taught
Yeah.
from birth
Yeah.
and is reinforced from every
Yeah.
direction around you, it's
What
an hard
Hitler-
job
I
to
think
get
it-
out
I
of.
think it was Hitler said, tell a lie big enough and the people will believe it. And you just have to keep repeating it like they did in 2020. Stay home, stay safe, save lives, all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I went out as
brainwashing,
much
yeah.
as I could.
Good man, because they were only brainwashing. Oh well,
That's another one.
yeah, what, waterworks?
Water, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that.
Neither did I. I was 47 before I supposed to talk about this, but that's how water operates. It will work. It doesn't matter what the floor is doing, it'll always find
My
level.
father once said to me about, you have a look at stand in front of the sea or whatever, but hold a bucket of water and feel how heavy the bucket of water is, and then look at the sea in front of you. And he's right. It's scary when you hold the water. That's heavy.
Yes.
I mean, really heavy.
Yes.
And then you look at that.
Yes. Mega cubic tons of weight, and all of
Wow.
that being stuck underneath a ball.
Yes.
You've got to contain water. It has to be contained, otherwise it spills. It'll run
Sure.
away.
So
And so we say we're in a contained environment. We have, in fact, with thermodynamics, you have to have a container. You have to have a gas canister. You have to have a deodorant can. You have to seal that Coke can up.
okay, yeah.
Otherwise, the pressure immediately equalizes with the surrounding environment. So, just like when you let one go from the back door,
Yeah.
immediately that pressure is surrounding the lift and everyone in the lift, right? So we would just say our atmosphere would immediately go into this vacuum if there was no fixed barrier. It's just how nature works, It needs a barrier. You need a skin. The banana needs a
Right,
peel.
okay,
The nut needs
yeah,
a nut. She needs a nut.
A shell.
A shell, I should say,
you
yeah.
mean-
And an
you
egg,
mean,
an
yeah.
egg needs a shell. And,
Yeah.
all these things need to be contained, otherwise they die. They don't survive, they don't grow, they don't develop. And so we say that, it must be contained because of the pressure system we're in and because of the nature of gas. That helium would keep rising and go away. We'd never have helium here because it
Yeah.
would all disappear. It would just go into space.
So
Outer space.
my next question really is, why are you here?
I
You,
just feel like
not that you feel that we've been kind of our schools are not teaching the subject very well, or is that your purpose?
Yeah.
Or
Well, that our entire reality has been stage managed, orchestrated, so that we would never know our connection to the source that we come from, Mother Nature or God or whatever you believe in. But we come from something higher than this material realm. This material realm wants to.
so
keep
that
us in a
takes
trap.
you right into those people over there,
Who's that?
the God Squad.
Oh no, I'm not. Well, I'm not into religion. I'm not into. I think religion is mind control as well as
You're right.
science is. Yeah. But what is true?
It's kind of the two. There's very little difference between the two, isn't there? Science or religion.
Yeah. Well, religion wants you to think that you're bad and you have to beg forgiveness.
Okay.
Religion and science wants you to think that you're insignificant and you should be, can't use plastic and you should pay taxes and you shouldn't breathe freely and you can poison your brother and all this sort of stuff. It wants you to believe stuff that makes you insignificant, like you evolved from monkeys.
Yeah.
Rather than no, there was a creator that in you that said, I want to come and have a life experience, and this is the avatar I'm choosing. This is how I'm going to come through this mother and father, and that is a divine thing that makes you the king of your own universe, Each of us is carrying a universe in us. Each of us has the projection of the stars and the sun plays for you and the moon plays for you. When you die, it goes with you.
Multi-universe.
I think if they talk about multi-universe, there are 1 billion or 9 billion universes interacting on this playing field. We've all come to Disneyland. If you like,
Yeah.
But the ticket for Disneyland is now extortionate, and Walt Disney is penalising our children and so on for all sorts of things and putting them into little schools that make them robots. And that kind of thing, rather than freeing them up to go, let's open the gates of Disneyland. There's all of nature. Our world is so big, and particularly if we're on a flat Earth.
Do you think we'll ever really know? Do you think we'll ever really know?
Maybe only when we leave here.
Yeah.
But I think that we're on let's just say you're on a quest to climb a mountain, and no one has you've never climbed that mountain before.
Right.
And there's all sorts of treachery along the way.
Yeah.
You can choose to stop along the way because there's taverns and whatnot that will entertain you and keep you, or you can decide to move on and keep going. And some cultures suggest that if you don't get up the mountain this time, you just come back and start
try again. Yeah.
Right? It may simply be like that.
So,
it's
my
not all
wife.
bad, but there is a good message to be shared.
My wife passed away last year.
I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah, and thank you. And I wasn't dismissing, but thank you. And I think to myself today, I go and visit her, if you like.
Yeah.
I think she's gone to another universe, and the two, the one I'm in now.
Yeah.
And the one she's in
Oh, sorry, I should rephrase. I should say
don't very often coincide, and we're really lucky. We're really lucky.
Thank you.
If occasionally they do,
Thank you.
and even luckier if we know someone.
Yeah, you recognise.
The other side.
Yeah.
So and I often think, I wonder how she's getting on in the universe she's in today.
I think she's able to see our universe back here, but that's just my idea. That
You're right,
that
okay,
actually,
yeah.
when you go up the level, as it were, you can still see the juniors,
level you
as
passed.
it were. Yeah, we're in the junior school here. This is like base level.
Like
This
I
is,
said, for me,
you know,
though,
whatever God
the
is, whatever
main
we come
one
from, the
is to
loving
see it
essence,
like-
it could not be further from that where
Okay,
you
yeah,
are
yeah.
in this world. But I think when we leave this world, we go to worlds above that.
So this is stage 1.
I think this is the bottom level, the floor, and we're
Yeah.
in the dark ages. But when some people say there's 7 heavens to the top, and your higher self is.
Who teaches that?
Many ancient cultures say,
Okay.
yeah, the Vedics and so on. There's 7 heavens,
Right.
And just like the rainbow, there's so many 7 waves come in
Oh,
7
yeah.
cycles and so on. Weeks are in 7.
Listen, there's loads of 7s in the Bible too.
Yeah. So, oh yeah. 7
Yeah,
doves.
the 7
7
doves, the
colour-
7 vials,
yeah,
the
yeah,
7.
yeah.
Oh,
All the
in
coloured
Revelations,
animals go
yeah,
into the-
yes.
Into the ark, 7 by 7. So there is the
2 by
7
2.
No, but those are only the brown animals, the grey
Oh.
animals, the elephants and all that. They're 2 by 2. I didn't know this myself until a year or so ago. But the others go in 7 by 7.
Do they really?
Yeah. And you have 7 main chakras, which are your energy wheels
Yes,
of
yes,
your
yes,
body.
yeah.
You know, so and there's 7. Hey, and there's so many 7s. The main luminaries that we talk about now, but they talk about them as planets. But the Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter. These are 7 key luminaries that attach to the 7 chakras of your universe. So that's macroverse out there, microverse in here, and there's 7 stages from here to the top.
Okay.
And when I think when a soul leaves here, if the soul has done the work and it's on its next stage up,
Yeah.
it's able to look down. Perhaps not. It's back here doing it again, kind of thing. But your higher self is always at that higher self level, looking in.
Unable to look down.
Always
Sorry,
looking
not
in.
look down, look in.
Look in, you know,
Right.
and always looking in.
Okay.
I had an ayahuasca plant medicine experience 7 years ago, and for me, I was atheist, and I had that experience. And
7 years ago.
Yeah, 7 years ago. And that gave me an insight into our higher self. I saw my higher self, you know, and this higher self is invincible. It never dies. So when you leave this avatar, you return to that, and whatever it's up to, it could be spawning thousands of human beings, as it were. One higher self could certainly have the power to manifest more than one of us.
Right.
You know. So are all of us from the same higher being, or are there a dozen or dozens of higher beings, and each of them have? I don't know how all of that works, but I know there's a higher. There's something about this, and you go back to that when you leave here.
I was recently homeless. In fact, I've been homeless since my wife died back last year. I've just been put in YMCA over the Christmas, and I've been put into room
7.
perfect.
No way.
Yeah.
Shake my hand.
I just realised that's where we've been talking. Wow.
No, that's fantastic.
Listen, you've given me a lot to think about, and
Okay, you've
I
got
don't
my
want to.
flyer, and there's a
Yeah,
website
yeah,
link
yeah.
there to my YouTube account. So
Okay, cool. Well, I will
Good
be.
luck. What's your name?
Richard.
Richard.
Rich.
Nice to meet you, Rich.
You too. Cheers.
Good luck, brother.
Thank you. Thank you
All the
very
best.
much.
Bye
Cheers.
bye.
Well done, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Guys.
Good one.
Cool.
Good one.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, likewise.
Water, chilled.
I'm good for now.
You're good for now.
That's a good one, man. Well done.
Man.
Go on, thank you.
Yeah, I know. That went well.